Hey, welcome to REDCap Tips and Tricks. This session, we're covering PDF snapshots. So the PDF snapshots, their function is to save a PDF automatically. They will save a PDF of certain forms when certain conditions are met. And those are a lot of flexibility in how you define that. So the PDF snapshots actually replaced some earlier functionality. So it used to be that when you set up the survey settings for a survey, you had the option to save a PDF copy. That is now done through PDF snapshots. And then also, if you were working with eConsent, a lot of people were using the multi-signature consent external module, and PDF snapshots have also replaced that. So that is now built into base REDCap. You access it through the designer. So in order to set up a PDF snapshot, you must have design privileges. However, once someone has already configured it, the snapshot will happen automatically when the condition is met. The form will be saved where it's been configured to be saved. Doesn't matter who the current user is. You just have to have design privileges to configure the PDF snapshot. All right, so this is where the PDF snapshots live. They're under form options at the top right of your designer. So if you click in here, what you'll see is that you can actually create as many triggers for different snapshots as you want. So this means that I can create different snapshots of my record. I can create different PDFs based on my REDCap records in different situations. So when you add or edit a PDF snapshot, I'm just going to edit the example that I've already got set up. You have a few different things that you can configure. So the first thing is that you can set up a name for your trigger. Now, this is not required. You can set up a trigger without that. But I find that if I'm working in a complex project, if I've got multiple triggers that I want to save, it's really helpful to me to add this name. So I'm going to call this the baseline visit complete trigger. And then you have your trigger conditions. So rather like alerts, if you're familiar with working with alerts, the trigger condition defines when the snapshot will be taken. What causes REDCap to save this PDF snapshot? And this can be fairly simple. So it can just be when a survey is completed. So that would be a very similar flow to if you were doing the save a PDF from survey settings. But you can also make them much more complex. So for this one, let's break down my logic here. So I've got a few forms that I'm working with. Just going to open the code book off to the side here as well. So with this trigger, what I ultimately want is I want to take a PDF snapshot when all of my forms for the first visit have been filled out and they are complete. And so here's how I break that down. So each form has a completeness field that's automatically added at the end of it. So we have patient information complete right here. And our options for this automatically generated field are incomplete, unverified, and complete. So this is saying, okay, don't take the snapshot until they've marked patient information complete. And then we've got our medical history form, which exact same format on the auto-generated field. Medical history also has to be saved as complete. And then the labs have to be saved as complete. And these baseline ARM1 operators that you see here, this is because I've got a longitudinal project. And so I have to tell REDCap that, not only are we looking for the labs to be complete, but I'm specifically looking for the labs for the baseline visit to be complete. So I've got it set up to trigger when those forms are saved as complete. And then you get to pick the scope of your snapshot. So when you press this yellow edit pencil, it allows you to select and to be fairly specific about events and forms. What are you going to save a snapshot of? So in this case, I've selected patient information, medical history, and labs, but only for that baseline session, right? I'm not asking it to snapshot month 1 labs. I'm not asking it to snapshot the treatment outcomes. If you leave this field blank up here, so if I came in and I deselected all, what it defaults to is all instruments. And so REDCap would take a snapshot of the entire record and save that as a PDF. In this case, I do still just want my baseline forms. So I'm going to update that again. And you can see it's listed up here which forms we're getting into our snapshot. And then you also have this option regarding saving as a compact PDF. So the deal with the compact PDFs, you might have seen this if you've directly exported PDFs of data from a single form or a single record, but the compact PDF only includes the fields that have saved data. So if I, didn't fill out my glucose lab, the glucose box would not appear on the form if I was telling REDCap to save this as a compact PDF. It does default to saving as compact PDF. And then a quick note in this section about using repeating forms. So with repeating forms, they play differently with scopes versus with the triggers. So as far as your scope is concerned, as far as actually creating that PDF and what gets included in it, repeating forms will be included and all of the different repetitions will be included. On the flip side, the PDF snapshot triggers do not currently allow for repeating forms. So if I had a repeating form and I included a field from that form in my trigger logic, I wouldn't get a new version of the PDF each time I filled out a new instance of that form and met that trigger. It would only go off on the first one. So repeating forms are something I would recommend not using in your trigger logic, but they will be included in the overall snapshot. This third section is where to save the snapshots. So if you have selected Save to File Repository, that means that if you go into the file repository for your project, and you go into this folder called PDF Snapshot Archive, that's where you will find a copy of that PDF form. You can also save to a specified field. So in a longitudinal project, again, it's going to make you specify the event. But what you can do is you can, any file upload field that you've created in your project will appear in the menu here. So this way I can have a copy of that PDF live on one of my entry forms so that it's easier or more intuitive to view. You can absolutely do both of these options. And the last thing that we get to toggle is the file name. So down here you can see this chunk in red right here. That's always going to be appended to every file. And this is giving an exact timestamp and saying that it's a PDF. But from all this section in here, I can control what goes into that title. So I might want to put my study name. I might want to pipe in the record name. So my square brackets to pipe variables, they absolutely work in this context. So you can see I've got ID record name, ID record dash name. So that's going to give me the record ID. So now that I've walked you through what the setup looks like, let's go do a test record real quick. So I've already got some information started here on record 2. So I'm going to make a few updates, just get some data in there and save this as complete. So if you remember just a minute ago, we were talking about, with our trigger logic, we need to meet all of the trigger logic before we'll get our snapshot. So I've met 2 items from my trigger logic. I haven't met the last one yet. I haven't saved the labs as complete. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I can do that even though I've got blanks on my form. And now I've met all the conditions for my logic. So you can see my PDF snapshot has generated. And I told it to live here on the patient information form. If I go open it up, this is what it's going to look like. So it's going to tell me the form name. It's going to tell me whose record this is. And then it brings over all the data. And in this case, I did not tell it to save as a compact PDF. So you can see that it shows that we don't have a value for creatinine. We don't have a value for EGFR. If I had chosen compact PDF, my labs form would end right after BON. And that would just be blank paper after there. So how do PDF snapshots get used? They're used in a few different contexts. So especially in operational support projects, right? I use them to bundle multiple signed forms together to create a single PDF with everyone's signatures. I can use PDF snapshots to group forms together and give me a PDF that I can submit to an external body. So I can use this for submission outside of REDCap. Very often I will auto-generate a PDF and then I can attach it to an alert. So again, I can send this PDF to people without having to give them access to my REDCap project. They can also be used to retain a document of a survey exactly as the patient filled it out. So this is further security against the data ever being altered. You have that PDF record of it. So this anti-falsification aspect is especially important with e-consents, right? Where we are collecting someone's consent for a study that should be as tamper-proof as we can make it. So we collect the PDF. And that is the PDF snapshot feature. So thank you for joining me and good luck with your projects.